Trevor to his friends. Incidentally, Terry and Emlyn are with us this evening. I've promised to buy them a glass of bubble if we get through. They've made me put it in writing. And by the way, at half-time, I hope you'll be in the mood to enter our great Summer of Sport competition. You could win VIP treatment for the forthcoming Bruno fight or the Commonwealth Games. Now, let me remind you that England and Argentina have met twice before in the World Cup. Back in 1962, England won 3-1, and in that summer of '66, it was 1-0. Now, Bobby Charlton's waiting in the Azteca. Bobby played in both those matches, but knowing you, Bobby, I'm sure you're probably more anxious about what's going to happen tonight than on those two occasions.
I am indeed, Des, yes. I remember the 3-1 match in Chile, 62 and 66. That particular game, I think, was probably one of the most difficult that we had to win in 1966 because we thought that the Argentinians were probably capable of winning the World Cup if we didn't. And of course, the ratting episode that went on and on and on during that match tended to detract from the England performance. Actually, I actually had a word with Ratting this morning. He was on the telephone about an hour ago and asked me what I felt about the game. And I said, well, I hope it's a good, fair match. And I hope that whoever wins, whoever loses, gets the best wishes. The winner gets the best wishes for the remainder of the competition. And it was very nice of him to say that he wished exactly the same. So maybe he's not as black as he's painted. But this particular game today, one of the most exciting and the most interesting that any England-Argentinian confrontation has ever produced before, promises to be one of the great occasions in our sporting history, certainly. I hope that it's a really good game. I hope that England play well. And at the end of it all, we have many, many happy English to cheer us on for the rest of this competition after today's game.
Bobby, Argentina are slight favourites here with the bookmakers. Is that how it's seen in Mexico?
I don't think so, no. I think that since the rest of the South American countries have gone out, I think a lot of people feel that there's much more pressure now on Argentina as their sole representative. Also, I do think that everybody thinks that England have had their bad patch, and they think that they're on a little bit of a crest and it's uphill. I think they're very keen to see whether Lineker can maintain the tremendous form that he's been in as a striker. And I don't think that, generally speaking, most of the people in here would make the Argentinians favourite. I think they would say it was 50-50.
Thanks, Bob. Let's hope we have something to celebrate later. Let's now go to our match commentators, Jimmy Hill and Barry Davis.
Well, the Mexican team have left their fiesta, but the feelings of intensity for the World Game have not been dimmed. The Azteca is bathed in warm sunshine, and there are some 20,000 supporters from the two competing teams today, England and Argentina, mingling and adding to the noise and music of the locals. The scene is set for a marvellous contest, and one can only trust and keep as many fingers crossed as possible that the result will be what we want. The England team, or the substitutes, are the first we see making their way onto the pitch from the end to our left. They're the first to appear. Behind them will come the two starting 11s. It's a marvellous occasion in a World Cup which has been full of surprises. And you realise that so far the two teams who finished second in their group are through to the last four, and as Desmond Lynam said, Argentina are the only group winners to still be surviving at this stage. And thinking about Bobby Robson's team, how ironic that the man who missed the chances against Portugal has become the hero of the piece, and indeed the joint top scorer of the tournament, of course, Gary Lineker. And Brian Robson, who came here as the leader and the man most likely to bring success, has had to endure the frustration of being the onlooker. It has been hard for a man of action.
All the time when you're on the bench, where on the game you just get on with the job and you're not nervous at all. But obviously when you're sitting there, you're seeing everything happening. Every time the opposite team gets in the box, you think, oh no, here we go.
Now, what's going to happen against Argentina?
I think we'll beat them. And I feel that quite strongly. From what I've seen in the World Cup so far, you know, there's nothing that we should be frightened of. Okay, they've got Maradona, but I think if we play it right against Maradona and Valdano, I think we've got to watch as well. But if we do well against them too, and we can cope with that, then I think we'll do really well in the game.
Confidence from the man who had hoped to be skipper, and the man who succeeded him. Peter Shilton has a hugely impressive record as the man in charge. He's been captain previously on 10 occasions, and from those matches have come 6 wins and 4 draws. One or two people a little late in arriving, but the stadium is certainly going to be pretty full. Flags of both of the countries, and I think the quote of Diego Maradona is worth referring to. It's my greatest wish, he said, that supporters will forget politics and respect the 2 fine teams that we're now looking at. And he referred to the fact that only last month he was cheered onto the field at Tottenham by 30,000 supporters from England. That, of course, was in Ozzy Ardiles' testimonial match. That little man is watching the match on television in Spain, and as you heard from Bobby Charlton, Antonio Ratin, the villain of the piece in 1966, is watching in his own country and hoping that this will be a good contest to the beauty of the game of football. There they are, side by side. Diego Maradona nearer the camera, Peter Shilton on the far side, leading out the 2 11s, with the referee in front, the man from Tunisia. Terry Butcher and Gary Lineker, the last 2 to take their place in the line, as the spectators are asked to stand for the 2 national anthems. Plenty of flags and hats with ribbons of pale blue and white. And now the national anthem. Attempt by supporters from home to sing up with the national anthem. Union Jacks, the flags of St George, are all around the stadium. There's a big block of English support to our right. Hull City, Southampton, Bristol City, seen the flags of many clubs. Of course, the majority here are from Mexico, and it will be very interesting to see whose side they take. This is the lineup of Argentina. They've been forced to make changes. They've lost their left back, Oscar Garre, who has 2 bookings against his name. So Olarticoechea is playing at left back, and they brought into midfield Enrique, which presumably will allow Maradona even greater freedom to go forward. And as we were looking at the lineups, I should tell you that players of both sides were shaking hands and exchanging pennants. So the spirit between the two teams could not be better. This is the England lineup, a team fashioned from adversity to become a far more efficient model than the one which arrived here amid extravagant headlines. There are still perhaps weaknesses, and they may well be probed today, but the side has developed character and characters to offer us realistic hope. So much of the pre-match publicity has been about this little man, 5'6" of him, Diego Maradona, and how England will play him. I don't think there is any question that it will be the responsibility of the man nearest to him at the time to get goal side as quickly as possible and not to commit himself until forced to do so. But as was mentioned earlier, they have other players of quality, and in particular Valdano up front. The officials, as I said, the referee comes from Tunisia, and his name is Ali Bennaceur. He's 42 years old and he's a computer programmer. And the 2 linesmen from Bulgaria and Costa Rica, Bogdan Docev of Bulgaria and Bernie Ulloa of Costa Rica. The referee, sensibly, as we look at the crowd enjoying the sunshine, the referee is standing in the middle of the shadow there in the center of the stadium, which is formed by the speakers overhead. Here is the joint top scorer in the tournament, Gary Lineker, alongside Careca of Brazil, who can score no more, and the Spain Burruchaga, each has 5 goals to his name. Here are the substitutes. Pasculi is the forward player in the Argentina quintet. England have decided that they need on the bench 2 forwards. They're going to include Chris Waddle and John Barnes. There's Chris Woods, the faithful goalkeeper, waiting his chance, but knowing that everybody is hoping that he won't get it, at least not in this World Cup. Ray Wilkins is back again, and there are Barnes and Waddle. And Bobby Robson now has to sit it out and hope. The instructions, the exhortations have gone up. He now joins the rest of us as a spectator, although one suspects that he may shout a little louder than those around us. The referee checking with both linesmen. England in the half to our right, defending that half. It appears they were with the first player to touch the ball, and how he, a little man too, has grown in stature during the course of this tournament. So England against Argentina for a place in the semi-finals. Teddy Sanson and Diego Maradona came immediately to him, and the last time those two met, Sanson brought down Maradona, Passarella scored from the penalty spot, but England won the match 3-1. That was the last meeting between the two in May 1980 at Wembley. Butcher. Beardsley followed by 2, Hodge width right from the word go. Sanson. The free kick given against Enrique and quickly taken to Peter Reid. Cuciuffo. So the corner but not the throw. Peter Reid, who has been troubled by a right, as it were, a right ankle injury. But he said yesterday there was no way he was going to miss this one. But a push and shove, but Butcher got the back header. But the referee had given the free kick for the first push on José Luis Brown. Very un-Argentine name. His family and his mother's side originally came from Ireland. First run, 2 marked, the tackle was clean and came from Hodge. Cuciuffo, Brown, and Maradona and Valdano forming a front two. Ruggeri, Giusti, Maradona, Butcher came to him. Hodge into the centre circle to get the header in. Gary Stevens. Tense opening moments. A contest for which the prize is so high. Batista for Argentina. And Maradona made rather more of that than there was. And Trevor Steven came rather the worse for wear out of it. Just got a knock on the ankle, but I don't think it's serious. And now that he's adjusted his boot, he seems quite happy. Burruchaga, who wears number 7, is in the centre-forward position at the moment, and he's the man I think that they're most likely to push forward from midfield. Kenny Sanson. Butcher. Gary Stevens. 2 forward, Lineker and Beardsley. Looking for Reid. Started the contest in a very attacking role. We've seen him now on both flanks in the first 3 minutes of the match. Enrique. Cuciuffo. Cuciuffo, who's started the match on the right side with Ruggeri going back to where he started the tournament in the middle and now pulling away to the left. Cuciuffo. Hodge's challenge. Hodge. And Ruggeri is staying with Beardsley if England get possession, which they do through Peter Reid. Lineker's come away from his man. And Ruggeri now picks him up. Butcher. Fennick. Referred to Alvin Martin after missing the last game because of suspension. Kenny Sanson starts to move forward. Maradona got between the two, but the pass was a rather disappointing one. Giusti, Huddle, pressurised by 2. Stevens, that's a nicely played off ball, and now he's got to get back. Maybe a little as well for him that the Argentine pass was faulty. Olarticoechea, who chased it. It was a contest for the most difficult name to pronounce in this championship. He's certainly in with a chance. Sansom. Reed wants it, as ever. Lineker is down the middle. Hodges cut in, leaving a bit of space on the left for Sansom. Left of Reed now, number 3. Reed has got on, nicely done. Brown across and committed, and won it well. To some expense to Peter Reed, it would seem. The ankle hurt him before, the right one. And he got a knock early in the last match against Paraguay. And it's to be hoped that history is not repeating itself. And it is the right ankle that's troubling him again. There's Valdano back in defence. Fennick. Not a shot to remember. 7 minutes gone. Jimmy Hill.
Obviously not brought back into the team because of his shooting capability, but I think that shot demonstrated the mood of both sides. They're both very tentative, very frightened of each other, extremely careful at this stage of the game.
Well nicked by Reed. Hoddle. Reed. He forgets about the knock very quickly. Enrique. It's a little change of pace that drew the tackle. He walked away from it. Butcher. Cuciuffo and Lineker. Arms akimbo. Beardsley and Ruggeri. That's the position as far as the marking of the England front two is concerned. Burruchaga. Cuciuffo. Maradona. 4 England players between him and a possible pass or route to goal. Free kick against Fennick and an immediate yellow card. He committed himself, he was late, and the referee decided that he had to make a point. To say, I'm not sure there was any great need for him to go in as he did. By standing there, he was forcing the man across, and there were others capable of coming in for a later and perhaps rather better time challenge. But it's produced a free kick, which Maradona may take, or Burruchaga. Maradona. Stilton having to adjust his position and watch with care. Argentine corner on the far side. Well, that's the first we've seen of the little man, and great player though he is, it will be as well we don't see him too often. Out by Hoddle, it's a poor corner. Olarticoechea across, and has got away from 2. Far better tackle that time from Fennick. Maradona, useful cross. And a bit of push and shove in the area. Ruggeri, it was, who met the ball with his head. But I think he pushed in order to do so. And the final verdict is the goal kick. So with 10 minutes gone, no score, 1 scare, 1 booking against Terry Fennick. Batista. Nery was with him. Space on the right for Cuciuffo. Olarticoechea, forward run by Burruchaga. Two waiting in the middle. Giusti and Valdano. Sanson meets it after a slight slip. Kenny Sanson winning his 70th cap in this contest. Fennick, Butcher. One for Beers in the chase. For Pumpido, who was there and then lost it. England getting men into the middle. What a great attempt by Peter Beardsley. And Pumpido is a man concerned and a man relieved. Great swivel turn, had to go for it first time. There were players coming into the middle, but he was surely entitled to go for goal, which he did, and was mightily close. Enrique, Valdano, Terry Butcher covering.
There are people who score goals in football and love it, and those who prefer the other arts and crafts of the game, and Peter Beardsley showed there with that turn and aim at the goal that he's a man who loves to score goals. What an opportunity, and he nearly made it count.
One or two clouds overhead, but the temperature down there on the pitch is in the low 80s. Just a little bit of a breeze too swirling around the stadium, but judging from the flags down there, the players are not getting too much benefit from that. The challenge. Batista, Burruchaga. Enrique plays for River Plate. Burruchaga plays his football in France. Or not. There's Valdano, who plays in Spain. But the man from Everton ended all that, Gary Stevens. Two teams have in fact met 3 times since the '66 World Cup, when Ratin was sent off just before half-time and Jeff Hurst scored the vital goal 12 minutes from the end. Twice at Wembley, once in Buenos Aires, 2 draws and 1 England victory. Burruchaga. Stevens giving him a second opportunity. Cuciuffo moving up to the right. This is Maradona. Stevens faces him, so does Steven. Shot came from Olarticoechea. Beardsley trying a very tight turn again and was blocked. Free kick. He's enjoyed every game that he's played. His attitude has been typical of what we've seen from England after their unpleasant start. Fennick. Butcher. Sanson pulls wide to the left. Square of Butcher now. This is Hodge trying to put Brown under a certain amount of pressure, but not succeeding. And when you think that before the game against Canada, the last game before the World Cup, this man was in danger of going home. Oh, well, he's taken his chance here.
And he has provided the balance to the England midfield four on the left. It's what we were looking for, really, in all the build-up period to the World Cup. A left-footed player who had the energy to play in all three areas of the field, and he's the man.
This is Giusti for Argentina. Sanson with him. England pushing forward. Burruchaga. Maradona. Butcher up alongside. Conceded the corner, but just stayed up alongside. And what a contrast in physique between the two.
And I was just thinking, a corner is a victory in that situation because you've blunted the first thrust.
Maradona, you will not be surprised to know, has come to take the corner, orchestrates everything. It's an interesting one too. Came to Olarticoechea, and England might benefit from it. Lineker pulling away to the right, Beardsley in possession, Trevor Stephen on the left. Huddle coming just behind. Two players wide on the right. Reed wants it. In the box with Beardsley, straight at the chest of Brown. Maradona. Trevor Stephen, just goal side. Valdano. Beautifully timed tackle by Terry Butcher. Space on the left for Argentina. This is Olarticoechea. Batista behind him. All bar two behind the ball for England. Enrique. Of Sanson. So leaving two up. I suppose we're not quite meeting the requirements of Peter Beardsley. He said we should attack with 10 and defend with 11. Batista. Ball was cleanly won. Huddle. That wasn't a clean challenge. Free kick given against Giusti.
See, that foul was much more premeditated than the one for which Fennick got his name taken. Fennick made a strike for the ball, the skill of Maradona beat him, and he was only fractionally away from it. But that one, the player knew that he was bringing him down, and the referee never even looked for a yellow card.
Two in the middle. Offside, Gary Lineker. Argentina quoted this morning as joint second favourites to win the championship at 4-1. France the favourites at 2-1. England are at 9-2. Jorge Valdano. José Luis Cuciuffo, and the two not together at all.
We're not unsympathetic about the pressure on the referee in this particular game today, but the conversation over the coffee before this morning's game was about the poor quality of the refereeing in this World Cup so far, and I think most journalists from around the world are agreeing on that. Mostly, I think, because they do insist on using the more inexperienced referees or those from emerging countries in vital games. Maradona.
so far, I hope I'm not tempting fating them, have been able to crowd him out. Stephen. Beardsley makes the run. Cuciuffo goes with him. Lineker makes the run, finds a bit more space, but nobody coming onto the header. Batista. Burruchaga down the middle. Again, good play from Thierry Butcher. It's the choice of Ali Bennaceur. One game in the league matches. It's a little surprising, but one does feel too that it has a lot to do with the decision of FIFA to have 24 teams in this tournament, but they also feel the same about the referees. The referees from the third world and from South America, Colombian yesterday, have been given their chance. And he's given Maradona the free kick.
For nothing, if I may say.
Header came from Fennick. Went across the face, but harmless enough. Batista. Burruchaga making the run in the inside right position. For the first time, the England back four were looking at each other for a moment. Say with an element of concern. Maradona decides to let somebody else take the throw. Olarticoechea. The cross is a disappointment from the little man. We're halfway through the first half, and neither goalkeeper has really yet had to show what he can do. As a result, there is a blank score sheet. Bobby Robson, reason to be quietly confident, as the England team have been from the start. Lineker. The referee was in quickly there to have words with Oscar Ruggeri. Waving Burruchaga away. Hoddle on the ball, hasn't really got into the match yet, Glenn Hoddle. Peter Reid just away to the right of the two, Hoddle and Kenny Sanson. Forward for Lineker. Again a slip which England may be able to capitalise on. This is Beardsley. Again the instinct was to go for the shot. Well, I think that's the best instinct that a forward can have. The linesman on the far side, Bulgarian, has his flag up indicating offside. The alarm so far for Nero Alberto Pumpido of River Plate being of his own volition. We have here so far neither the beauty of Guadalajara nor the dross of Monterrey. It's tight, it's tense, the fear of making a mistake is evident, and I think the mutual respect too is evident. Batista. Enrique. Hoddle in there quickly. And the first little dance. Brown, who is by no means Daniel Passalera. Efficient, but not especially gifted. Lineker moving towards the middle as his club colleague Gary Stevens prepares to wind up for a long throw. Burruchaga standing on the touchline gives him the opportunity, which he does. Hodge quickly back. Certainly has worked up and down this left side in every match that he's played. Came into the team when things turned against Poland. And this is indeed the same team precisely who played on that occasion. Maradona, Burruchaga. Maradona in the middle, so is Valdano, away by Kenny Sansom. A wide defender coming across to cover across the back behind the central defenders. Brown. Enrique, Valdano, Sansom. Cuciuffo there before Beardsley. The drummer with us, though presumably not the Spanish drummer. He would have already made his way to Puebla, I would think, where Spain and Belgium meet later in the day. Burruchaga hasn't had a particularly good press at home, according to the Argentine journalists here. Possibly because he doesn't play his football in Argentina.
Looking for some encouraging signs for those of you waiting patiently at home for the game to spark to life. Glenn Hoddle, who made a very shaky and nervous start, nothing like his match against Paraguay, which was the best game I think I've seen him have for England, suddenly got himself into the game in the last attack, and there are signs that the Argentine defence can panic if put under pressure. That's the good news.
Trevor Stephen with the cross, but it curled out. Well, he doesn't seem to have too much to say, does he, the Argentine drummer? Maradona. It's good to see him coming as deep as that to collect the ball. By Peter Reid. Olarticoechea, look at Peter Reid. Determination, and the free kick is now his way. Well, it's not, but surely it should have been. Butcher didn't make it. Valdano. It's the first half error we've seen from the Ipswich men. Maradona. Interesting challenge from Stephen coming from the other side, but beautiful play by Maradona. Shilton coming for it, and rightly and well. The referee fell over at the same point, so keen was he to protect the goalkeeper. But there was no nastiness in the challenge, just determination from the goalkeeper. Hoddle. It's usually Enrique who seems to come to Hoddle. What a marvellous tournament Peter Shilton has had. Reid, Lineker, Hodge wide to the left yet again. It was Giusti's header, and the free kick is Argentine's way for foot up. Nobody there. the best of waves, but are trying to lift the contest, which is a little dour. Where are the personalities here to match what we saw at Guadalajara? Burruchaga. Well, here's one. And on he goes, the little man. Free kick. Just the nudge from Steve Hodge. There it was. And another opportunity for the best player in Argentina, perhaps to test the best player in the England team in terms of world class, their goalkeeper. If there is a concern, it is that the Argentines' best player can win a match. Our best player can only keep the score blank. Maradona to take. Five-man England wall. He's going to try and curl it round it. And very nearly did. But I'm sure, and I think rightly, that Shilton will claim that he got across. Let us see. Would have been tight.
I think if England are going to win this game, that Peter Shilton, the captain, will have the opportunity to prove that he is the best goalkeeper in the world. And I think by the speed he got across that goal and covered the ball, he was on his way to doing it, but I feel he's got a lot more work yet. Not an easy task for the England team when Maradona gets in possession. It's difficult to know what to do because he is so talented. It was a pity, of course, that actually Fenech threw away possession of the ball, which gave Argentina that last attack. And up to now, his distribution has not been up to Alvin Martin's standard, never mind his defensive qualities.
Giusti. Burruchaga. Odell quickly in to help out Butcher and to turn defence into attack. Beardsley. Ball given away again. 14 is Giusti, and the free kick against Hodge. And he obviously feels that the Argentine made too much of that. Very upset with the referee's verdict. But again, the ball was given away, and when it was played in from Beardsley to Huddle, the challenge by Huddle was not the most determined you've ever seen. 5 Argentines to the left. Maradona goes for goal again, off the wall for the corner. So many of the free kicks in this tournament, we have seen the kicker go for the shot. Not too many have been successful at it. '50-second cap for Maradona. The numerals of his age the other way around. He's 25. Which side do you want to go, says the linesman. I think Maradona might be saying, well, if you get out of the way, it will help. He wanted to remove the flag. Nice little cameo between the Costa Rican linesman and the Argentine captain. And he's tidying the place up. I presume the referee is docking off the time. And eventually the corner will be taken. Cameraman rolls out of the way. Shilton comes for the ball. It was high on the fingers, but well held. Stephen. Argentina, as was said at the start, the only surviving team from South America. And the 5 previous tournaments in South America have all been won by a South American team. Twice by Brazil, twice by Uruguay, and once by Argentina themselves. So that victory, the manner of it, in particular the success against Peru, is this morning put into some question. Here's Maradona. This is a fine run. Didn't really have the moment to balance himself with a shot. And the miss kick came from Hodge, and the corner is given. Maradona, player who was left out of the squad in '78, from which Menotti found the winning team, was certainly their best hope in 1986. Burruchaga to take. Maradona just outside the 6-yard area on the near post. Valdano on the far. Brown is up. Ruggeri is up. Butcher was up. Nine minutes of the first period remaining, plus maybe a little bit of time to be added for adjusting the corner flag. No score. Batista. Giusti. Burruchaga. Maradona. Stevens chases. Well claimed. Well, an interesting decision by Terry Fenwick. He decided not to go across, although Stevens was always in the wake of Maradona.
And indeed, at the end of it, a copybook cross from a tight position, which is a hallmark of his play. He really did enough against Uruguay to win the match on his own. He laid on enough chances that weren't taken. But he's always going to be a threat. My disappointment at the moment is England haven't got the rhythm and the balance and the confidence that they showed in their last two matches. There's no doubt that nerves have got to them. Early on to Gary Stevens with one or two wild clearances. Terry Fenwick not using the ball as well as he's able, and Glenn Hoddle really a shadow of what he was in the other match. And so they really do need to settle to frighten the Argentinians and get the balance back into the game.
Always two sides of an argument, and I think the fact that we are now playing a side of infinitely higher class than anything we've met so far has to be taken into consideration, as I'm sure you'd agree. And in case you've come in and joined us late, let me tell you, with now 6 minutes remaining, there is still no score in this third of the four quarterfinals, England against Argentina.
Just to pick up that point, Barry, I would say they're higher class in possession, but they're not that much better when England have the ball, and England are causing their own misgivings and downfall at the moment.
The neutrals are a little disgruntled. Two matches that they watched yesterday. The Mexicans obviously had huge interest in the happenings of Monterrey, which ended in disappointment, and the world watched with a certain amount of awe at the quality at Guadalajara. The artistry and the beauty of the game was so well shown there. Here's Maradona. Three around him, he drew three, played it to Cuciuffo. He didn't make the most of the opportunity. Maradona went down a little late. But I think an example of what can happen. Maradona draws players to him. He's the honey for the bees. And suddenly he proves not to be the queen. The queen is wide to his right for the shot. Maradona in need of attention.
Well, if there's any eagle-eyed viewer at home saw that, they did rather better than we did here. I saw nothing at that point. Whether there was the usual tussle between a defender and Maradona, where it was 6-1 and half a dozen. Now let's have a look here. He's running on the left. You can see he actually ran into the back of a player who's showing no interest in him whatsoever and feigned the injury to get the sympathy. He's the best player in the world and by no means the worst actor by the look of it on that incident. You can't foul a man who's behind you. There he is. He's still outstanding and still will need stopping by fair means if England are going to win this match. But more than that, they've got to start to do their stuff on the ball.
I wonder whether he understood Terry Fenwick's accent. Olarticoechea. Brown. Pumpido. Hasn't seen very much of the ball. Balance of the play, not greatly, but slightly in Argentina's favour. Batista. Sansom. He would know better than anybody else that the side isn't quite ticking as it did in the two previous matches. Reed, unpleasing bounce, and he was adjudged to have handled. Valdano is the furthest forward for Argentina. Referee being very precise as to which blade of grass is the point of the free kick. Maradona down the middle, covered by Fenwick. I think it's fair to say that only Maradona has looked like making a breakthrough. He's the only one who's committed people in the last third of the field. Burruchaga. Enrique has gone down. This is Maradona. They're forcing him across. Batista. Shot blocked by Hoddle. Wasn't a particularly good shot anyway. Butcher had to dig it out a little bit with his right foot. Put in by Hoddle. Maradona very nearly does the splits and it seemed to hurt him. Bennaceur rather. Batista. Giusti. Valdano. Still in his own half. Trying the impossible. Battling by Beardsley. Brown gets the ball where Valdano should have played it in the first place. Maradona. Maradona looked for the whistle, didn't get it. The Argentines, like the English, getting men behind the ball. Defenders are winning out. They didn't all start by playing in the back four. We're into the last minute. England's 49th match during the reign of Bobby Robson is so far not a particularly uplifting occasion. Prize is greater than the quality of football that we're seeing. Cuciuffo. Burruchaga. Referee had his whistle to his lips immediately. But when he finally gives the verdict, it's in England's favour. What a prime moment this would be to score a goal. First really real chance for Hoddle to pick somebody out, and it would have to be that. Certainly there won't be a shot from here. 5 forward for England across the 18-yard line. And we're now playing the time for that corner flag incident. Hoddle, forward again for Kenny Sanson. Hodge has got in his way. What a shame. Flag was up for offside, but I suspect it was against Hodge and not against Sanson. And clearly the move was between Hoddle and Sanson. A little chip forward for Sanson to run onto. Hodge moved too soon, got in the way of Sanson's run, which would otherwise have been absolutely clear in on goal.
And how pleasant to see a bit of imagination from a free kick coming from England, of all countries. So there's the end of the first half. I see no reason to believe that it wasn't going to be a tight game today. The other two quarter-finals ended in penalties, and that could well be the case today. Such is the fear, really, of both sides for each other. The midfield hasn't really worked. Bobby Robson's problem is to find ways of getting that engine ticking over and getting balls to the front players. We've talked about the Argentine strikers. We haven't talked about the way in which Ruggeri has put Lineker in prison in the first half, hardly given him half a yard to move in, and that is our problem, to free our front players, get the attack moving, and put fear into the Argentine defence, because I think they will worry if we give them the chance to do so.
So that's the task for the second half. But at half-time at the Azteca Stadium, it's Argentina 0, England 0.
Our thoughts on that in just a second, but first let me remind you of our competition, which is coming up shortly. You can win tickets to the Bruno fight or the Commonwealth Games. More about that in a second. Now about the game. We normally make a list of the highlights, don't we? And we've got blank bits of paper kicking around here, really. Terry?
Well, we don't know really what they're setting out to do. It looks like they're just defending, and we've shown far, far too much respect for them. Against Paraguay, we didn't play particularly well in the early part of the game. The goal gave us a lift. Yeah. But you see, and we said at the time there, Hoddle is defending with everybody else. So therefore, when the ball goes out, the two players up front have got nobody at all, and they're facing the wrong way for a start. So they have to try and get the ball down, and it's very difficult. I think we've got to risk Hoddle, leave him between the defence and the front players. Therefore, they'll be worried about him and staying back, and therefore he will give them problems, and they'll have more space to play in. If we're just going to rely on a counter-attack, we'll wait, and we might win 1-0. But on the other hand, they might get a break when we're going to give them too much respect.
Do you think perhaps it was right to do that for the first half and be a little more ambitious from now on?
No, because I think we can defend well. I don't think we need Hoddle to defend in there. We can need him to defend just inside our own half with the front two, make it difficult for him. And then when it goes past him, he can wait there to spring out again and do damage, because they're frightened of him. But as yet, for that respect, we're not punishing them.
Yeah. The fact is, though, I mean, Argentina haven't really looked like scoring either, have they?
Not really. Maradona's done well. I mean, we all know what a great player he is, but I think that Bobby Robson's got a major part to play in it now at half-time, because the lads it hasn't been a great game. I mean, we've sat here, and as you've said, there hasn't been a lot of highlights that you can look back on and say, that was close, that was close. Now, he's got to go in, and he can say to the lads, you know, hey, we've done all right, 0-0, we're in with a chance, we're not down in any way. As Terry so rightly said, we've got to push Glenn Hoddle up a little bit further, because we've got 7 good defenders, 8, including Peter Shilton, great defenders. And I think that we can push Glenn a little bit forward, as he's done in the 2 games where we've played very, very well, the Poland and the Paraguay game. Push them forward, and if Glenn can start playing a little bit, getting a little bit more ball, playing balls up to the 2 front lads, then, yeah, we can beat, because Argentina nothing special.
There was a little incident early on when Peter Beardsley found himself with something of an opportunity, simply because the goalkeeper seemed to slip, which sort of evidences the fact that the pitch is a bit tricky.
It wasn't the first time that people in the penalty area, in the Argentine penalty area, have slipped up as well. It must be fairly heavy there. But Peter's done well, and it looked, I mean, we thought it had gone in. We thought it had gone in.
I think you've got to give him top marks. He's had very little to do, and it was his first opportunity. He didn't have any doubts. He knew what he was going to do. As soon as he turned, he was going to go for it, because he felt they were going to be light
thing to do,
getting back onto the goal. I felt so. Yeah, he done well there, and that's the only chance him and Lineker's hardly touched the ball at all.
Right. Peter Reid's been one of the pluses, I suppose, of that first half. He's worked hard, hasn't he?
He started off, I don't know, we get a feeling that he's been told to really attack the game. He was on the left and on the right, because they don't feel as if he can go through 90 minutes. Don't worry about pacing yourself. Go for the game, and perhaps he won't last more than about 60, 65 minutes, if that. He's had a knock, and it'll be interesting to see what they see at half-time.
Yeah, he did copper one early on again, didn't he?
Did.
Right down in the corner flag there. The lads come across him, and he's been clutching at his ankle again.
Copped one.
He copped one, yeah.
That's the football vernacular, of course, for having taken an injury.
And he went out the game for 5 or 10 minutes, but he's come back into it again, and he's doing well.
Now, Maradona's looking for some free kicks, isn't he? It seems to me. I don't know. I mean, he's earned some, but he's looked for a few too.
He is exciting.
Well, I think we've done the right thing that everyone says about putting a man on him. The trouble is, when you play a man-to-man marker, when you escape from him, you can't cover him, and he can take your team shape all over the place. What they're doing is the nearest man is going to him and running him into our other men. and you see him run across the end. There was a great shot of him running across the field, and he had to go faster and faster, and the faster he went, the less he could control the ball.
Right.
And therefore he's looking now to dive. Well, and it's quite an interesting little thing is him with his free kicks against Shilton, because Shilton, without doing anything fantastic, he's taken 2 great crosses. He's taken 2 extreme crosses. I felt Shilton's given too much space to a left-hand post there, and he goes for it. He shows him, and it's close whether he would have made it or not for me.
Well, he wouldn't have got to it if it had gone in the top corner. That's for sure. If it had gone in the top corner, he's got across well, and we've all turned around and said, is he going to... Oh, you know, we're glad it's gone the other side of the post at the end of the day.
What do you reckon, Argentina's half on points?
I think so, but as we've said before, it's not about points, it's about knockouts, and they will be a bit hesitant now of what to do, whether to... Their manager will be saying, well, be careful, because they might counter-attack, and I think if we just draw Hoddle away from that, that'll worry him even more, especially at the half-time, because they're not ready for that. And I think he could, if he can get hold of the ball and settle it and put these things, and getting the 2 front players spinning away into wide areas with these nice balls he can play in, and spread them, make them stretch the team, I think that they will have problems. But I feel we must make that gamble.
Right. The prize more important than the football, said Barry Davis. I think he had it right there. Well, now, let me tell you about our great summer of sport competition, for which the prizes are a trip to London and 2 seats for the World Heavyweight title fight at Wembley between Frank Bruno and Tim Witherspoon. That's on July the 19th. Or a visit to Edinburgh on August the 2nd for the final day of the Commonwealth Games, which includes the major athletics finals like the 1500 metres and the closing ceremony. So 2 terrific prizes, and to win we want you to identify 6 goal scorers from previous World Cup finals. The first 2 you'll see in just a moment. The second 2 will be shown on Wednesday night during the second semi-final, which we hope England will be in, and repeated during the World Cup report on Thursday, Bob Wilson's show, and the final 2 during the World Cup final itself a week today. We're going to announce the winners on July the 6th at the Wimbledon men's singles final. I hope you're taking all this in. And I'll tell you how to enter after we've shown the first 2 goals. Remember, we want just the names of the goal scorers. Well, if you know, don't send anything in yet, but when you've seen all 6 goals over the next few days, send your answers on a postcard with the scorers A to F on the right-hand side and your name and address on the left-hand side, as you see there. And the address for entries is BBC Television's Great Summer of Sport competition, Television Centre, Wood Lane, London W12 8QT. Have a look at that for a few seconds in case you've got the old pen out and you're busy noting it down. And we want your entries to reach us by Thursday, July the 3rd, but please, no cards yet until you've seen all 6 goals and name the scorers. Who do you think they were, Em? No, don't tell us. Okay, let's move on and just for a moment reflect on what happened in the World Cup late last night. The quality of the first half between Mexico and West Germany may have meant you didn't hang around for the outcome. Well, it was 0-0 after extra time, a bore draw, as some of the newspapers would have it. And so it went to penalties. The Germans here are leading 2-1. Nobody had missed yet.
Fernando Quirarte. The Mexican centre-back. Can he make it 2-2? Little check. And it hit the legs of Schumacher. And Mexico have missed a penalty. Well, the big defender didn't strike it too well. Schumacher was perhaps a little lucky, but he stopped it with his legs. It's West Germany 2, Mexico 1, and 3 more penalties to be taken by each nation. Lothar Matthäus of Bayern Munich to face Larios. Larios went the right way and was within inches of making a stop. But Matthäus tucked it into the bottom left-hand corner. And it's 3-1 to West Germany. Raul Savin, the fullback who had such a good game. A soft penalty penalty. Shoemaker has saved. Pierre Litbarski, who came on as a substitute late in the second period of extra time, in anticipation, it would have appeared, of a penalty shootout. Now to take the fourth penalty for West Germany. It's there. Litbarski's penalty puts West Germany in the semi-final meeting with the French. A repeat, remember, of 4 years ago when the West Germans were victorious.
Well, that was a rotten match that went to penalties. Earlier, of course, we had that classic that went to penalties between France and Brazil. It was 1-1 after extra time. Here's the penalty sequence now. It's already at 3-3, and Brazil have already missed one.
It's rather like hitting the post and going in a sense. It's Branco. Goal. It's 3-3, but France have one kick in hand. And I suppose this is the moment really for Michel Platini to take responsibility. Misses what could be a crucial kick. It's absolutely level, and it's effectively really now his sudden death. And here's Julio Cesar. Now, if France score from the next penalty, they've won. And it's going to be Luis Fernandez. What a responsibility. The football world holds its breath. We are! France have won! France are in the semi-final. 4-3 on penalties. Fernandez! What a great moment for the European champions. And who would say they don't deserve it? And in the most tense and dramatic circumstances in Guadalajara, Brazil are out of the World Cup.
The joy for the winners and the misery for the losers. Are we in for penalties tonight? I don't know if we can stand it. Anyway, let's go back now to the stadium, the Azteca Stadium, Jimmy Hill and Barry Davis.
Well, I'm sure, Des, there are many people wondering precisely that, whether we're to see penalties again. And I think an opportunity as the players make their way out to make a couple of observations about that penalty competition in Guadalajara. Should the referee have not sent off the goalkeeper and therefore forced the Brazilians to go through the penalty competition without a goalkeeper? And secondly, Jimmy, if a penalty is taken at the end of 90 minutes in a normal game and the ball hits the post, the final whistle is blown.
Well, you're right, positively on the second count, and on the first count it really is unclear. FIFA appear not to be able to make up their mind. I'm sure viewers will remember just a couple of seasons back it became the practice in the Football League for referees to interpret that kind of offence outside the penalty area as a sending off offence. In fact, they did so at that time, but through the FA the Football League was stopped from allowing referees to interpret it in that fashion. FIFA said at the start that players were to be sent off, but apparently referees are not carrying it out, so it's all a muddle. But let's hope we don't have that same kind of situation in the second half.
And that those who stand to serve will be saying amen to that, apart from the players that Bobby Robson presumably has already decided will take the penalties should it be required. And as Argentina, the last South American representative in this World Cup, get the second half underway, we have news that the manager of Brazil, Tele Santana, has resigned. I don't think there's too great a surprise in that, because they had to persuade him to take the job in the first place.
My view is that he'd resigned yesterday morning. Brazil might still be in the World Cup competition.
Giusti. Free kick for the push.
Yeah, my explanation of that, of course, is that I thought he lost it in the middle of the game in not taking off Socrates, who was as tired as Graham Souness in Scotland's last match. And I think that had an effect. But now back to this action.
Diego Maradona. Going to strike another one, or will he set somebody up? He tries to do the latter. Flag is up on the far side. And England will be able to clear their lines without problem. Peter Shilton inquiring of the linesman just what the verdict is. The flag was up for offside.
Ruggeri thought he'd been fouled, but he hadn't. Here's Peter Reid. Kenny Sansom. Marking is the same. Cuciuffo got there before Peter Beardsley. Here's Maradona. Good play by Burruchaga, taking them all on. Maradona's behind Stevens. Oh, that was a very concerning moment. The ball actually bounced up off the hand of Stevens. Oh, a free kick for Argentina, indirect. The hand was up. The point was academic. Burruchaga and Butcher did well. Lovely control. He had to stretch for that, but he managed to get the ball under control. Fennick. Terry Butcher. Kenny Sansom. Who will be the first to gamble? Because somebody surely has to break the deadlock. Lineker waiting in the middle, so is Beardsley, so is Trevor Stephen. Hodge in possession. Hoddle takes over. Kenny Sansom stayed onside. 5 waiting. Beardsley. Gary Stevens with Trevor Stephen to his right. 4 waiting for the cross. Brown who got it away. And here's Valdano. Men either way. He didn't make up his mind sufficiently quickly. Burruchaga. Maradona pulling away to the left. Batista. Olarticoechea, Maradona, Valdano, didn't control it well. More industry from the man from Newcastle, more complaint from the man from Southampton. Peter Reid. Butcher thinks about Stephen on the right, goes instead for the left where he finds Hodge. The wide men have found little space in this contest. This is not true of Olarticoechea at the moment, but certainly it's been true of the England team. Haven't seen that much of Hodge or Trevor Stephen.
And Maradona just walked away from Hoddle then. Valdano, Hodge and Maradona! They're appealing for offside. The ball came back off the foot of Steve Hodge, and Maradona gives Argentina the lead. The England players protesting to the referee. But the little man who started it by walking past Glenn Hoddle, that's where the ball came from Hodge. Maradona had continued the run forward. And the goal is given. At what point was he offside? Or was it a use of the hand that England are complaining about? Well, certainly his arm was up. Peter Shilton protested immediately, but the goal stands. Seventh minute of the second half. Hodge. Lineker on the turn. Stevens.
Well, whatever the rights and wrongs of that goal, at the end of the day, perhaps it will release England from their nervous approach to this game. They've got to attack now, and immediately there were signs of positive action and running forward. It seems they have been so inhibited in this game right from the start and not allowing themselves freedom of movement. But they've got a battle on their hands now, and at least the game has come alive, whatever the score.
Maradona's second goal in this World Championship. He scored the equaliser against Italy. Ruggeri. Good tackle by Butcher. Valdano over to the left. And the free kick is England's way. And many opinions being given around the commentary boxes as to whether or not that was hands. And those to our left, which is nearer Shilton's goal, have little doubt that it was a hand that put the ball past the England goalkeeper. Burruchaga. Giusti. Olarticoechea will not be able to collect that. It will certainly be discussed on the bench, and I've little doubt that they also feel that it was handball.
The other point I could offer is that if there is a slight weakness in the England captain's goalkeeping skills, it is that he's not maybe as quick off his line as other goalkeepers tend to do. And that ball was played through to him, but here's Maradona again.
He has Burruchaga to his left and Valdano to his left. He won't need any of them. Oh, you have to say that's magnificent. There is no debate about that goal. That was just pure football genius. And the crowd in the Azteca Stadium stand to him. Inside one, away from another. And the coolness under pressure to play the ball home with the side of his foot. If the first was illegal, the second was one of the best goals we've seen in this championship. And there is a very dejected man, beaten once unfairly, beaten on a second occasion, like so many of his colleagues, by sheer skill. Just over 10 minutes of the second half gone, and Argentina have a 2-goal lead, and England now have to gamble. They've got to give it all. Sanson. That's a good try. It's turned away by Ruggeri. The goals unquestionably have brought the game to life. But they are asking the questions now of what Bobby Robson's men have to offer. They have to throw away any inhibitions. They certainly showed plenty of those in the first period. First time we've seen Butcher up in the opposition 18-yard area. Beardsley and Cuciuffo, Ruggeri and Lineker. And we've seen very little of Gary Lineker in this contest. The referee having sharp words about what seemed to him to be time wasting. Giusti. Hoddle gets away with the acrobatics. Hodge. Young man in turmoil at the moment, Steve Hodge. Because it was his missed kick which produced the first goal. Albeit for the fact that we believe that Maradona put the ball in with his hand. Butcher. Certainly a moment for those who have made their journey out from Britain. There are plenty of Scots who stayed on to watch England after the departure of their own team. It's certainly a moment for them to make themselves heard. Beardsley. Been tightly marked all the time by Cuciuffo, but has battled all the way. Whatever the outcome of this contest, it's surely right to say that Beardsley has grown into an international player during this tournament. And that was Hodge, and Pumpido did well to get there, and needed to from Argentina's point of view. A flick on. Hodge found a goalkeeper and defender to deny him. Stephen to take the corner. England, to their credit, have pressed from the moment of going one behind.
When all's said and done, and we look at our own heroes back home, some of them being sold expensively to Italy, I think in all honesty we can say that there is no light that shines as brightly as Maradona's. He can do it on his own, he can lay on goals for other people, he can take part into passing movements, he has fantastic pace when it's necessary, and also tremendous strength. He's won a couple of heading competitions already in midfield, and that final one, unfair or not, he still read the back pass quicker than Shilton did, and it was running away from him, you have to remember, and towards Shilton.
Peter Reid was hurt in that challenge. Free kick given against Batista, whose name was taken by the referee. Batista. That's his first booking in the championship. Hoddle with the free kick. Brown. Did it brush his head or not? Yes, it did, said the linesman. Hoddle coming across to take the corner. That's Carlos Bilardo, the coach of Argentina. And from the other bench, Chris Waddle is warming up for England. Glenn Hoddle with the corner. Not a good one. And Hoddle really has to get more involved in this match if England are to save it. Beardsley came through the crowd. The sting, I think, was taken off it. But he timed his movement into the area so well. Didn't really get hold of it. Neither almost did the goalkeeper. He saw it very late, it seemed. Stevens. Fennick and Gary Stevens. Terry Butcher. Reed wants it in midfield. It would be good to see Terry Butcher the score at 0-2. Try to bring the ball forward, but everybody use it rather better than that. Burruchaga. Fennick. Reed. Sanson wants it on the left side. This is Hoddle. Reed. Beardsley. As always, Cuciuffo at his back. He's done well. Well, it's just that little bit too high. Olarticoechea. And the number being held by the FIFA official down in front of us would seem to indicate that Peter Reed will be the man who England will bring off. Butcher. Sansom. Valdano. Trevor Steven. His touch has not been what it was against Paraguay or against Poland. I've said of a number of England players. Certainly he and Hodge have not been the factors that they were in the last two games. And Lineker and Beardsley really have not had the service of those games. England want to make the substitution. Chris Waddle is waiting. The ball is in the crowd. And the announcement of the substitution is made on the public address system. And off comes Peter Reed, who played, I believe, carrying a knock. Played with great determination, but has not been able to find the way for England, who now change the formation, taking off a midfield player, bringing on a forward who surely has instructions to attack on the flanks. And let us hope he's been told to attack on the flanks in the last third of the field and not from deep inside his own half, which he does far too often. This is Beardsley. Trevor Steven coming in. That's very well claimed by Pumpido.
It was a great catch, as you can see for yourself here. Good cross too. Stretched him all the way and he took it well. Only collided with the four, but did the usual roll around for a moment or two just to make sure that we'd all seen the save. And Waddle has taken up position wide on the left, as we thought. Doesn't take a lot of assessing that, but I think more than his influence. Some of the players are already on the field have got to buckle down now and start to play in this game, because we haven't really seen anything like the England performance.
And the free kick has been given for the challenge on Maradona, who is claiming he was knocked on his head. But he's the man who has sent us onto the slippery slope. But surely when he scored the first, as he ran onto the ball that was knocked on by the foot of Hodge, it was his hand he used to go past Peter Shilton. There can be no question, it was handball. Peter Shilton immediately protested, but the goal stood.
And while you've been looking at that incriminating evidence at home, we also had a chance to look here at that challenge on Maradona, and there's no question about it, he wasn't touched. He is an actor. He's brilliant, but he's an actor too.
Burruchaga with a shot. Jimmy's observation will make clear that those pictures of the first goal, which should not have been allowed, were from our own special cameras here. Waddle. Hodge well forwards. And Maradona still in a prostrate position. Have his goals left England similarly placed. We're halfway through the second half, and England are 2 down to Argentina. Contest between 2 of the previous winners of this cup. Team of 66 for England and of 78 for Argentina. Out by Batista. He's been far more defensive in this match. Waddle. All the left foot. Hoddle. Stevens. Plenty of white shirts forward. Hoddle. Free kick. Verdict given against Giusti, and back comes Maradona. And I imagine that he enjoyed the rest. Pumpido checking that the wall is covering the left side of his goal from his point of view. Hoddle poised. 5 players coming from the left. Hoddle takes! Good save! Well, that's the best free kick that Glenn Hoddle has hit that I've seen in this championship. It was going in, no question about that. Hoddle with the corner. Met by Brown. Only to Waddle. The goalkeeper didn't know where that was, neither did his defenders. But it was actually a rather disappointing cross because there was nobody there for England. Shilton well out of his goal, and at least England are forcing Argentina back. Butcher. Hoddle. Stevens. Come to be seen by Olarticoechea. Left out half a syllable in his name, but I hope he didn't notice. Then Hoddle having a better spell, and he desperately needs to do so for his country's future.
If not his present.
Beardsley and Cuciuffo. And the referee is signalling over this side for Pumpido to get some attention.
It's difficult to pass an opinion on a shape of a game where it was altered by an unfair decision. Well, an unfair decision or non-recognition of that handball. But on the other hand, I think any objective viewer would look at today's game and say that at the moment Argentina have played with more imagination, they have attacked more and deserve to be in the lead. Maybe not by the 2 goals, but certainly by 1. But England are not out of it yet. They have got the chance to come back, but are searching for just one elusive goal to put respect and fear back into the Argentine team. At the moment, they have no worries because there is a cushion of a 2-goal lead. And that is the problem. They've got to force the pace. I should be surprised if the game ends at this score, because in forcing the pace in what is perhaps the last 20 minutes now, England have got to take risks and push men forward. But there's no doubt about what their aim is. They must commit themselves to that.
It's Valdano. It's likely to be the furthest forward of the Argentines. And John Barnes, who hasn't previously played in this tournament, looks as though he's going to be given his chance. Gary Stevens. And if he comes on, Bobby Robson would be going back to the style that at one stage he desperately wanted to achieve, playing with 2 wingers. John Barnes, who last played for Watford on the last game of last season, hasn't played since. Away by Brown at the expense of a corner. It'll be interesting to see if he comes on, whether he's played wide or down the middle. Bobby Robson has never previously used him in the middle. Oh, he timed the run well, did Terry Fenwick, but he couldn't get the header that he required at the end of the run.
It's extraordinary that Gary Lineker has hardly had a touch in this game. He's been so closely marked, he hasn't been able to make an impression on the game at all. And when you hear sums of £5 million mentioned for possible transfers to Italy and things like that, you wonder how a man with such talent at goal scoring can make no impression in any other way on the game. It certainly couldn't happen to a Maradona.
Seems likely that Trevor Stephen will be the man to be replaced. It's Glenn Hoddle. Kenny Sanson. Waddle wide to the left. 4 England players in the middle. A little problem sometimes when Waddle comes on the left. He restricts the movement forward of Kenny Sanson, who, when he makes his forward runs, always tends to make them wide. Like 1 or 2 players we've seen in this tournament who come down the middle. The Brazilian Branco being a prime example. Fenwick. Maradona being left forward. It's got to go back to Peter Shilton. Whistles from the crowd, but it was the only ball on for Fenwick. Stevens. Lineker starts to come short, then goes. This is Hodge, with the sweeper comfortably across. Barnes still waiting, and with a little over a quarter of an hour left, there would seem to be no point in delay. And there is not going to be further delay. Off comes Trevor Stephen, and on into the World Cup for the first time comes Watford's John Barnes. He's gone to the left, Waddle has gone to the right, and England are playing 2 in midfield, Hodge and Hoddle. Sanson. Butcher. Valdano. Batista. Brown. Anyway, will do clearance, but so was Fenwick. If we don't get hold of the ball, we can do nothing with it. Free kick has been given. "15 minutes remaining. Argentina 2, England 0. Only once previously beaten us, and that was in June 1964 in the Brazilian Jubilee tournament in Rio. And they won by the only goal. And Argentina are bringing off Burruchaga, and another new man gets into the World Cup because he's going to be replaced by Marcelo Fabiani. No, he's going to be replaced by Marcelo Tapia. And having suggested two surnames, let's get the right Christian name. On the field is number 20, Carlos Tapia, and he played once before. Beardsley. Free kick against his marker, Cuciuffo. Tapia's previous appearance was in the opening game against South Korea when he came on as a substitute. Waddle to take. Barnes starts to make a run. So does Hodge. They all go back. Waddle is the nearest. There's an awful lot of movement from England players. Fennick at the back. Hodge even further back. And Butcher's header straight into the hands of Pumpido. All sorts of movements then from the England players. Fennick, Hodge, Butcher, but straight to the advanced goalkeeper. England ball. Butcher. Four up for England. Sanson in possession. Valdano sitting it out. The referee, unimpressed, tells him to get up. Hoddle, forward of the ball. The free kick has been given for the challenge on Kenny Sanson. Maradona delaying things by getting involved. As with his team, there are certainly two sides of his character. Enrique got away with throwing the ball away. There's quite a delay before this free kick is taken. Hoddle will take it. Butcher, Stevens, Waddle and Lineker to come on the near side as we look. The Argentines move up en masse. And the England players are all caught offside. From where is the inspiration to come?
Not an easy position to be in against such a determined Argentine side. I don't know what Bobby Robson will be thinking at this moment, just praying for help from somewhere. The pity is, of course, that his team has not really played in this game as they have done in others. It is true the opposition are that much more difficult, but on the other hand, just to throw the ball away, as has happened so often when not under pressure, it's not been typical of their last two games, and it's put them really in the trouble that they're in.
I think it is also true to say that observers of world football would have suggested at the start of this tournament that for England to reach the quarter-finals was achievement for the team that came here. Hodge trying to get forward onto that from Beards' little flick. The free kick has been given. A little over 10 minutes left. Butcher is forward, just out of picture as we look. He's the widest player from the view of the kicker. Hodge, Waddle, Fennick, Butcher, Lineker. Fennick is the first to go. Tempts Brown, the backman. Hoddle and Barnes together. And Barnes just runs over it. And Hoddle doesn't find him. Oh dear.
I suppose that's the reason that players don't often show imagination from free kicks, because when they don't work, they get the derision of the crowd. it was an attempt at least to be positive and slip somebody through the block.
Here's Fennick. Stevens. Fennick is still forward. This is John Barnes. Away by Ruggeri. Only to Kenny Sanson. To Hodge. Appeals for offside. He wasn't. This is John Barnes. That's nicely done. That's a good cross. The Cuciuffo! 9 minutes left. And English hopes are rekindled. And John Barnes, who has had to stay for so long as a spectator, did what we know he can do, got to the far line, a lovely cross, and Lineker gets goal number 6 in this competition. But more importantly than that statistic, he gives England a chance of saving the day. There were players queuing then for that cross. So beautifully played it was. Here's Maradona with his spin turn. Back from Tapia, and back again. Sanson's challenge, Tapia, off the post! The gods were on our side there, all right. Great spin turn by Maradona. And John Barnes was back in defence to bring it out again. And on the other flank, here is Chris Waddle. If it is to be the end, it's going to be a stirring finish from England. Flag is up for offside. And that goal for Gary Lineker means that he has now scored more goals in World Cup football than any other Englishman. For this match, he stood level on 5 with Jeff Hurst. Hurst's goals coming in 2 competitions. Now he's past that, as well as having reached the position of being England's top scorer in 1 tournament.
And 1 more from inside the 6-yard box.
But if you produce a cross like that, Jimmy, you want somebody to put it in the net. Valdano and Sanson. Good noise from English supporters away to our right, but Maradona in possession. And they can only watch and hope. Just under 7 minutes on our clock. Maradona taking a few more seconds, and that's all he's trying to do down there. But if the referee and his linesman had had better eyesight, the goal score would now be 1-1. Batista. Enrique. Lineker. Beautifully played off Beardsley, but it was a good challenge by Olarticoechea. And how interesting, the crowd suddenly have changed their allegiance. They've come on England's side. Butcher. Stevens. Waddle on this side. Hoddle in possession. Barnes on the far side. 3 other players in attacking positions between the 2. One is Lineker. Well up by Ruggeri. Valdano. Playing the head tennis. Good way to pass out by Brown. To Giusti. To Valdano. Taking on Fennick. What will the referee do? He gets away with it, Fennick.
You see, there is no consistency in the refereeing in this World Cup. He should have sent Fennick off there, having taken his name for the first tackle. No question in my mind, it was a hasty name take early on, but there was also no question in my mind, and yours, as you look at this, that he was deliberately and cynically brought down the sort of thing that we are crying out to have eliminated from the game of football. And yet the referee made, well, what kind of decision? Political, used his discretion, did what? Didn't do the obvious thing that millions of viewers throughout the world would want to see done, even though it is an English player.
We've had a number of queries, Jimmy, as to what cynical actually means. And we define it as premeditated without consideration for either the laws or the spirit of the game. Maradona, an interesting angle. Stevens is the man on the wall nearest us, and he will have to stand firm. Batista and Valdano in the area. Five minutes left. England 1, Argentina 2. Gary Stevens. Butcher. Hoddle. Barnes on the left touchline. That's a useful looking ball. Rives at Sanson's feet. I think he took his eye off it for just a moment because he thought that Ruggeri was going to cut it out. The best pass that Hoddle's made in this match. Sansa. England again with plenty of men forward. Butcher is one of them. Fennick is the back man. Shilton standing on the edge of his area. Waddle. And again. But he ran into the crowd and lacked the vision. Maradona, fine challenge by Hodge. This is Beardsley, two to his left, one is John Barnes. And every Englishman surely will be saying, go on, run at them. It's a good cross! Yes, no! Lineker just could not get to it. Corner given, centimetres away. And Lineker fell awkwardly on that injured wrist. What a peach of a cross. And it was a defender who got there first with the back of the head to turn it away for the corner. Marvellous stuff from John Barnes. Hoddle to take the corner. Massive white shirts again. Butcher. Just couldn't find the extra couple of inches. Or to tell the truth, he jumped too soon. Lineker feeling the effects of the attempt, which was not successful. Stadium clock says 43 minutes and 10 seconds gone. And listen to the cries, I hope you can hear them, of England, England. Barnes once more. Goal kick.
More than one Watford supporter will be saying, why didn't John Barnes have a chance before to show what he can do? He certainly was successful in the tour last year when England came out against Brazil. His dribbling seemed to work and he seemed to like the conditions, but up to now he's been a card that Bobby Robson's kept up his sleeve. That will be a talking point at the end of the World Cup for sure.
On by Sanson. Barnes again. We're moving into the last minute of the match. Sanson again. Only to Cuciuffo. Maradona. Butcher just waved a foot at it, and the foot was high, and the free kick is given. And some more seconds are saved by Argentina. Whistles because of the amount of time that Argentina are taking. We're into the last 30 seconds of this quarter-final. But what will the referee allow for time wasting? Valdano and Butcher. Powerful header from Butcher. But an Argentine throw. 45 minutes are up. Whistles from the crowd. Fennick. Gary Stevens. Hoddle. Batista. Argentina just keeping possession. Maradona. To Enrique. England have got to win the ball and get it up the other end. And Enrique goes for the corner. Would the French or the Brazilians do that? But he's come out of the corner, in fairness to him. Waddle. Give it to Shilton. It needs the long kick. The referee looks at his watch. England all moving forward. Ruggeri looking for the header. Finds it. Waddle. No time to think. The throw has to be taken. Stevens. But the whistle goes, and England are out of the World Cup. A stirring end to their attempt. But they lose by 2-1 to Argentina. And Bobby Robson goes disconsolately away. In the end, he ended with a team which in his heart he always wanted to play with two wingers. John Barnes turned it on for him, produced the cross from which Lineker scored the goal, which got us back into the game, and produced another cross from which Lineker so nearly squared it at 2-2. But Argentina and their manager, Carlos Bilardo, are the victors here. England are out of the World Cup.
Yes, and the sadness of the day really is that they didn't produce the form of which they were capable until it was too late in the game. And also, secondly, that it was an unfair goal that at the end of the day created the result. On the good side, you could say there was no brutality really in the game. It was played in as a sporting spirit as one could hope for. They have lost a game of football, it's true. They're not disgraced. There is some honour, but much disappointment for what might have been.
Argentina 2, England 1. The South American challenge stays alive. It's the end of the road for Bobby Robson's England.
Well, it's difficult to bear, isn't it, really? And particularly so because of the nature of that first goal, which I thought was a clear handball right from the start. And I don't know whether you saw it quite like that to begin with, Emily, did you?
Well, when he's gone, I thought he headed the ball, but looking at the replay, I mean, it's guaranteed handball. He's gone up there. Schultz has come a little bit slow off his line, and he's got up there, and he's certainly got the touch of the hand on it. He's up there now. Jump, up he goes. And even then it doesn't touch his head at all.
What did you think about Peter Shilton there, Terry?
For me, with his hand or not, he's such a small guy. I think Peter Shilton, without a doubt, should have clattered the lot. Everything should have gone. The ball, everything. I mean, he plays in there. We thought he was offside, but it's our own man that knocks it in there. There, he comes there. I think that it's not even a cross. It's a straight ball, which is his ball all the way.
I sense that Maradona almost paused himself after the ball went in the net because he knew what he'd done.
To be fair, he didn't bottle it, did he?
No, he's gone for it. He's gone with one intention, which is going in to get in. He's got a chance to go. I mean, that makes the difference between great goal scorers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, great. He's gone in there and he said, "I'm in with a chance here." Up he's gone, and he has handed it. I mean, we've been done by a handball, but
well,
I mean,
there's no goal, is it? I mean, that's what we're saying. I mean, we at the beginning we couldn't be sure whether it was. I thought that he'd headed the ball, and the hand was there, but I thought he'd headed it. So you can't really blame Lyons for making that, but nevertheless, it's no goal. Yeah. But I felt
it changed the tone of the game, though, then, didn't it? Because they're one up now and they're playing with a bit more confidence.
Yeah, but we're going back to what we're saying. You were playing a bit more confidence. Nevertheless, we're saying we played when we were 2 down. It's like the boxer who waits to get it on the chin before he fights back. And then if the guy can fight better than him, he doesn't get back.
Too negative early on. But that second goal by Maradona was an absolute peach, wasn't it? I mean, you can't argue with that. It was just superb stuff.
An absolute curler. He does everything, doesn't he? He does absolutely everything. He's ran from inside his own half.
He comes inside.
He's going again.
He goes outside.
Again.
And then Peter, I felt, should have stood up to him a little bit better. But we can't take anything away from that. That's a great goal.
Incredible. Look,
But he's come inside one, and they're here. Fenwick should make him come across again, actually, but he's gone between him, taking the short route. Shows him the ball, takes it away, and slides it in. I mean, that was... But then again, more than our inefficiency, we've got to give that to the wingman. I mean, he's done great there, hasn't he?
It's not only the skill, but it's the pure power, isn't it, as well? Because Fenwick tried to foul him there. He put his arm across him, but he just went through anyway.
Fouls all day long.
Right.
He's strong as
But
an
he
ox.
is so strong, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, we've said this throughout the whole competition, that he's like a little pocket battleship, isn't he? I mean, he's so sturdy, so strong, big muscular legs on him, and he rides tackles, doesn't he? He rides tackles. I mean, he invites people to come in and have a go at him, doesn't he?
He shows the ball for people to go for it, and they think, I've got it, and as he comes, he just rides them off brilliantly.
And he commits them to making a tackle, knowing that he's going to be strong enough to set himself to bounce off people.
Now, our number 10 had a very quiet game, Lineker, but he was still there when it mattered. And
he got the equaliser too, didn't he? But again, Barnes has showed good skill, and I saw him in Mexico last year make 2 goals for Dixon again in this stadium. And to me, he is a great crosser of the ball. I think his crossing ability is excellent. I mean, he just has to put his head to it.
But you know, we can't have it both ways, can we? Because we were imploring Bobby Robson to go 4-4-2 and not pick the wingers. And now well, a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And now he's brought a winger on and he's done something for us. So
no, we've had a winger. We had a Waddle virtually from the beginning. It's only for the last game, I think.
Well, for the 2 games that we were successful before this, we didn't play a winger, and everybody said, well, all right, excluding you if you like, Terry, but most people said that is the way. And now we've brought the winger on, and he's done something for us. I suspect the cry will be, let's go back to the winger.
No, I think it's always to know what's best for us at a particular time and against a particular team. And he changed it from the winger, and it brought us results. So you can understand him thinking that is the valid thing. But what we're saying is there. Barnes has shown outstanding skill and crossing ability, which we know he's got.
Well, they could have gone 3-1 down then, couldn't they, England? Because
yes, they got angry then, didn't they?
They got annoyed.
It's the little lad again, isn't it? I mean, it's Maradona again. He does a turn and a roll with the ball, goes again, plays a cracking ball wide.
That's right.
And even gets involved in it again.
And
another
now
ball.
Doesn't show any selfishness. You thought he's got a chance for him to go dribbling again. But he doesn't. He plays it simple, and he comes and he hits this great.
That's Tapia, who came on. Yeah.
He hit that with power because it was right underneath his feet. He had no chance to get any.
Well, disappointment for all of us, and of course particularly for the England manager. And we can hear what he's got to say right now. Bobby Robson.
Thank you very much, Bobby. We are live now. Your reaction? You're out of the World Cup.
Well, we've been so near yet so far in football. Look, the players have done all they could do. You know, one's a dubious goal, one is a miracle. We've lost to a very good team because they compressed the situation in midfield all in the first half when maybe we couldn't really get our game going together. As a result, you know, we lost the supply to the 2 front players, the sort of service they wanted anyway. And you've got to give that, you've got to hand that to the Argentinians. But we did all we did in the last half hour. We stuck the 2 wingers on and had a right go at it. John Barnes did good work. And how Gary Lineker has missed, I don't know, with 5 minutes to go on a similar cross. Look, it doesn't defeat me, but I mean, it was just a very, very near miss. If it had gone in, who knows? We would have still been in there playing.
But we did play very well in the last few minutes, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, well. I mean, it was the only way back for us. We had to just throw caution to the wind. At this stage in the World Cup, you may as well lose 3-0 as 2-0. So we did the right thing with the 2 wingers, and we nearly made it.
It was a very great effort, but on the day, Argentina seemed to be the first really good side you've met in the competition.
Yeah, I said we've lost to a very good team. I think we're going to hold our heads up fairly high. We weren't beaten by a slop-happy team. They were a good unit, very compact. 5 in midfield, drilled us and worked us and didn't let us settle on it. We couldn't get free through the midfield, and as a result, obviously, the 2 little front players suffered because they didn't really get much of a chance of a sniff. And, you know, with a heavy man-for-man marking as well, plus the sweeper, they really sniffed us out for much of the game. And you've got to hand that to them. You know, at this level, it's not easy, and we've done the very best we could do.
Bobby, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, he hasn't really got a stutter, Bobby, of course. Sorry about the technical problems with that interview. We've got a few seconds for a final thought. Emlyn first, you know, where do we go now?
Well, everyone's disappointed. You know, I mean, there's been people over here have been criticised for saying certain things about the England setup and who should have been playing, and that's our right to make.
Like you?
Yeah, that's our right to make comments. I mean, we're on a television show to make comments about what we think. And nobody is more sick than I am that England have gone out the World Cup competition. But you always get the feeling that we could have done more. You know, we've played for 10 minutes at the end of the game, and you've been up, come on, let's get at it. But
final comment, Terry, very, very briefly.
No, obviously very disappointed because you do get the feeling we could have done more. At the end of the day, I think Argentina deserve the result, to be fair. I thought they should have won the game.
All right. Well, we knew the danger, and so it was proven to be, in one way or another, a man called Maradona has put us out of this World Cup. From us, cheerio.
Maradona just walked away from Hoddle then. Valdano, Hodge, and Maradona! They're appealing for offside. The ball came back off the foot of Steve Hodge. And Maradona gives Argentina the lead. The England players protesting to the referee. But the little man who started it by walking past Glenn Hoddle, that's where the ball came from Hodge. Maradona had continued the run forward. And the goal is given. At what point was he offside? Or was it a use of the hand that England are complaining about?
Here's Maradona again.
He has Burruchaga to his left and Valdano to his left. He won't need any of them. Oh, you have to say that's magnificent. There is no debate about that goal. That was just pure football genius. And the crowd in the Azteca Stadium stand to him. Inside one, away from another. And the coolness under pressure to play the ball home with the side of his foot. If the first was illegal, the second was one of the best goals we've seen in this championship. Stevens, Fennick is still forward. This is John Barnes, away by Ruggeri. Only to Kenny Sanson, to Hodge, appeals for offside, he wasn't. This is John Barnes. That's nicely done. That's a good cross to Cuciuffo! 9 minutes left, and English hopes are rekindled. And John Barnes, who has had to stay for so long as a spectator, did what we know he can do, got to the far line, a lovely cross, and Lineker gets goal number 6 in this competition.
No soccer cliches at all. Not us, never. A blast from the past. This burst is a must. Oh, excellent. Doctor, I've got World Cup fever. Take one track. And call me in the morning.
Eurosport. Get the action. Eurosport. Get the action. Tracks.
Pone orden, el balón va quedando ahora sobre el medio para el Bendito arranca, vamos Bendito, juega el balón ahora para el Pío Valderrama con marca, se voltea, marca Alemania, pelota de Freddy, la juega al medio para el Pío Valderrama la juega para Federico, va llegando Federico, puede jugar, la tira al marco, ¡la Bendito! ¡Qué golazo! 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 ¡Colombia! ¡Qué golazo!
The faces fade as the years go